Hello, and welcome to the Notary Business Talk, the podcast dedicated to sharing ideas, strategies, and techniques to help grow your business and improve your life. And now, with more than 2 decades of notary business experience, your host, Abraham Zamora, the notary entrepreneur.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Notary Business Talk. My name is Abraham Zamora, and I am the Notary Entrepreneur. In this episode, we're going to discuss how things have changed since the pandemic, since this slowdown that we've all experienced. And today, I actually have a very special guest. You guys have heard of him before if you tune into the show regularly. He is the owner and founder of Unlimited Ink Notaries. It's a signing service company, and Notary Stars, which is an online training platform where he provides ongoing training for notaries to grow their business and grow personally. Ronnie Mickle. Ronnie, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thanks for having me back. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm so happy you're here. And I'll tell people why I have you on the show. Recently, Ronnie posted, and if I'm a part of his newsletter, I'm also part of Notary Stars. And as part of being part of his community, he's been posting these blogs that he then sends out as newsletters on his email. And I mean, they've just been great. And so I sent him an email saying, hey, can I use some of this stuff for my podcast? I think people could really benefit from the information that you're providing, particularly right now in the time that we seem to find ourselves in. And he said, I'll do you one better, man. I'll come on the show. And I said, yes, sir, please do. And so here we are. Ronnie's going to give us some more of his wisdom and experience. And today what we're going to talk about is kind of how to polish ourselves up. And part of his most recent blog, by the way, if you want to listen and tune into his blog, you can always go to notarystars.com/blog, where you can find these blog posts. But we're going to discuss them in this podcast. And this particular one, we're going to discuss kind of your notary resumes, listing sites, and databases, and kind of how important those things are, because as we know, during the pandemic, it was really busy, and some of us could get away with not having to really pay too much attention to those tools that we use as notaries to grow our business. But now that things have changed, I think more than ever, it's important to definitely pay attention to those aspects of our business. So, Ronnie, let's go ahead and get into it. I mean, first of all, give us an overview of what this blog post was about, and kind of what inspired you to write about this.
So, I just want to point out that we've decided to do 3 of these sessions. I've written 3 blogs in the last couple of weeks, and they're all meant with the intention of helping the average notary. I'm very blessed that I have a nationwide signing agency, very blessed that I have students that turn to me. But I remember what it was like being out in the field, and I've been through refinance booms before, but nothing like during COVID. And I want to explain to you a couple of things that are affecting the industry. And I'm glad to be here today because I want to get it out in every avenue. I sent it out as an email blast. I put it out as a blog for our newsletter subscribers. I have put it on YouTube, and I'm glad to be here with you today to put it on your site and make sure that it gets out to all of the notary community. So the first thing that I want to explain to notaries is we are in a very saturated market, more saturated than it's ever been in all time for notaries. A couple of reasons why. The first reason that I can highly pinpoint is just go out and Google notary and see how many videos come up about make 6 figures. And sure, we can make 6 figures, but not all of us need 6 figures. Okay, some of us just need to make 35,000 or 55,000 or 75,000 and so forth. Because of these trainers coming into the market, there are so many people being pulled into the industry, and a lot of them were pulled in during COVID. And that's because a lot of people's jobs were being shut down. And so these videos tell them to go out, grab a notary stamp, become a notary, and sometimes even say, quit your day job. And we're in a saturated market. So I did a video with Carol Ray before she passed away. You can go out and YouTube that video. It's Carol Ray and Ronnie Mickle, talk about the notary industry. And on that video, which was 3.5 years ago, I said, in the zip code with everybody that has their profile filled out properly, there are 600 and something notaries. It may have been even 400. I was on a meeting with signing order
3.5 years ago, you're saying?
3.5 years ago.
Okay, right.
Within 25 miles of a zip code with everybody filled out properly. So I flash forward, was in a meeting with signing order earlier this year, and I said, why can't you fix this? There was a little component that I needed done, and I said, why can't you fix this? There's only 400 something profiles within a certain mile radius, and they said, no, Ronnie, there's 1,800 and some odd profiles within a certain mile radius. And I was like, what happened? And they were like, well, these are the things. And the number one is the pull from the make 6 figures, bring it in. And a lot of those notaries came in during the pandemic where they were just feeding signings left and right. At Unlimited Ink, the other side of things, we were begging notaries to take orders during the pandemic. That's how busy it was. We were like, can you get one more in? Can you do one more today? Post-pandemic, it's our market now as a signing agency, for sure. And what I want to explain to people is this first article that came out, we did 3.
Okay.
And this first one is all about marking yourself safe, so to speak. What we did is we did an analysis of all the signing agencies that work with Notary Stars. We did an analysis of any colleagues that we have, and we took major contenders. And even Amrock, one of the biggest signing agencies in the country, right, has now been notifying notaries you're being cut.
Wow, really?
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it be because you didn't take enough orders, or you're not active enough, or your listing's not up to date. We are now in a market where we were in a pandemic. A lot of people came in. There's also the 6-figure notaries coming in. And what the problem is now those people are going to get full-time day jobs. Because there's always been the earning the respect of being a signing agent. There's always been the working your way up in the industry. And sure, you came in the middle of a pandemic. They were throwing signings left and right. You could have had 2 days experience and they'd be like, take the order. But now those who were there before are floating to the top again. And the ones that just came in the middle are, and it's okay if you came in the middle. Honestly, if you lost your job, I'm glad you found the notary industry because it's a great career. The problem is that we're in a very saturated market with higher interest rates and higher gas prices, and we haven't leveled out yet. So I wrote these 3 blog articles to help notaries. And this first one is rising interest rates doesn't mean less signings.
This is the one we're discussing now.
Yeah, this is the one that we're assessing now.
So before you actually get into it, let me just say, you're right. There were 3 blog posts that you posted that you sent out. And so I think what we'll do is we'll do a 3-part series on this. We'll talk about this first one today. And then for those of you who are listening and tuning in, stay tuned. The other 2, which I mean, they're all just masterpieces in terms of helping that notary who, and I think right now you just kind of touched on the 2 paths that are available for existing notaries right now, right? It's either you now do what you didn't have to do during the pandemic to continue as a notary in this career, or like you mentioned, some people are just going to go back and get a job and they're just going to give up. And you talk about leveling out. What does leveling out look like? How does that play out? Just real quick, if you don't mind me.
Sure. It's happened every refinance boom, and I've been through at least 2 of them. What's going to happen is people came in to grab stamps and say, hey, I'm going to make this money while it's available. And then when it slows down, they leave, or they, there's always going to be the retirees out. So that doesn't really count. But then the other part are going to be, it's not what it was when I came in, so they're going to leave. And what I want to say before you even ask another question is, we live in the age of digital.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're living in a digital graveyard at the moment. And that's really the whole point of this podcast, for me anyway, is to explain how to survive a digital graveyard. The, the blog post is rising interest rates doesn't mean less signings, but that's if you know how to survive a digital graveyard.
What does that mean, by the way? Digital graveyard.
So everybody comes out 2 years ago, creates a Google business listing, creates a website, creates a Yelp, creates a signing order profile, creates whatever, and now they're going back to their day jobs.
Right.
And you're left amongst the digital graveyard of those who are no longer working. And you can actually get marked as one of those who are not safe. And that's the whole point of this very first article that I wrote, which is, all about listing sites, databases, and all of that sort of thing.
Interesting. Okay. Wow. Okay. So this is crucial for people to do. It's not just if I feel like it. I mean, it's one of those.
It's so crucial, Abraham. It's really crucial. I hope anybody listening to this is, and if you've made it this far, I promise you, this is about to be a pivotal moment for you. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. All the things I'm telling you are free.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it. So the first one you said, as the key is update your websites and business listings. Let's talk about that.
Absolutely. So let's just talk about your websites. First of all, I really hope all of you have the ability to update your own websites. If you don't, I do teach how to create your own website in my marketing course. Little plug there. But it's as simple as the holidays are coming up, right? And putting a little tinsel around some icons, or just letting people know that you're with the season for the next couple of months, especially that you're there, that if they come to you, that you're alive and you're working. The second thing is your listing websites. That's going to be things like your Google business, all of those things, Yelp. You're going to need to make sure that you update those hours and information. A lot of times they post little things they last updated on. Log into your listings. Let them know that you are still alive. Post something from today. And I've actually started saying put updated on your bio.
And, right.
Like today's 7/25/2022. If you log into that listing, put in updated on this date, and then create a spreadsheet and just keep a calendar reminder to go in and just change that date, even if you don't update the information, so people know that you're an active notary, that you're still there, that you're in this industry, that you're here for the long haul. Because I will tell you, I've received over 100 calls in the last month saying I'm going back to my day job. That's a lot.
Wow. And these are notaries that you would use regularly? I mean, like
These are notaries that I use regularly, or we train at Notary Stars. It doesn't matter. They're going back to their day jobs because it's not what it was when they came into the industry. And on the flip side of that, other notaries that are doing well or could be doing well, they are like, great, go. But what you have to understand is now you're left amongst their shell of a listing. So if you're next door to them or you're 3 miles from them, you might be dead too. And you could get marked. And this is a fact. Signing Order and SnapDocs is notorious for going through and doing what they call a dump of notaries. We're going to just remove those who haven't logged in a long time.
Wow, interesting. Okay. That's how many
even if you're doing this part-time, which is okay, you have to make sure that you're updating those profiles.
Okay, good. Okay, anything else on this first point that you were making?
No, but it does lead into the next point, and I'm excited to talk about that as well.
That's the update your biographies on all major notary platforms. This is what you were just talking about, signing orders and all that. Is that right?
Signing order, each point kind of bleeds into the other. But look at any site that you list yourself on
Uh-huh.
as an opportunity to update your business. So a lot of us during the pandemic didn't have time. I'll tell you something. I got a notification from Notary Rotary. It was like, we're going to remove you if you don't update. We all get that, but they mean it.
Yeah.
And most listing sites do. This is the time where you need to, while we're slower, go in and update your listings. During the pandemic, if you started at the beginning of the pandemic and you were a good notary, you probably did 200, 300, 400, 500 signings. You need to update that number, because when people are looking at your profiles, they're now looking at your experience.
Right.
If you've been here for 2 years, you really need to like update your profile. And if you've taken any training courses, great time to update your resume. Now that it's slowed down, title and escrow, signing agencies, everyone alike are going to be looking at what you did the last 2 years. And a lot of times I own a signing agency and I don't even think about the pandemic. I just look for the training courses. I look for how many signings did they do. I look for all of that information that I want in the profile. And it's time to go back and update everywhere you are listed to make sure that people see that information. If you came in at the beginning of COVID, the chances, and excuse my language, you probably had a hell of a lot of experience,
Right.
good and bad, during the pandemic. And this is the time to update those profiles and show the different avenues that come in for you what your experience is.
Right. And this is coming from the owner of a very successful signing agency. So you're definitely getting the flip side perspective on this. You mentioned courses. No plugs here. No, we're not. I'm not trying to promote any specific course, but are there any particular courses you recommend that people might want to consider?
Okay, so I'll give you my perfect journey as a notary if I
Okay.
were to tell you. And just so you know, I did an entire, and I'll give this to you, Abraham, so you can plug it
Okay.
on your website under this video if you want to. I did a presentation to the American Escrow Association on how to choose a direct notary, how to choose a signing service, how to choose a notary management platform. And I taught them on how to look down at a resume and look what they're looking for in a notary. So this is the perfect time. I always talk about the perfect journey of a notary. What would you want to take in terms of training to beef up your resume, get people to notice you? And I assign notaries every day. So when I look down, I know you have to take the National Notary Association, which is an ethics test. It's not a certified, they should not call it a certified loan signing agent test at all. It's a ethics test. There's maybe 3 to 4 questions that pertain to our industry at all.
Right. Right.
My second favorite course, which is a little hike in price, Notary to Pro. That is, I always say, the perfect foundation of a notary. The next one is probably Notary Stars. We are an expanded version of Notary to Pro. We do every loan product under the sun. That's $25 monthly until you get it, and you can upgrade or downgrade it at any time. Then you get to add the logo to your resume, just like Notary to Pro. Then I would say focus in on Laura Buer's state training. She does state-specific training. You get a logo, you can add it to your resume and say, hey, I went even deeper than my state training with a member of the National Notary Association. Then you can go to Bill Soroka, who is about similar price to Notary Stars. Bill teaches on loan signings as well, but he also focuses on marketing. Now, we have a marketing course as well, but I want to mention Bill because I have a lot of respect for him. And if I was the only teacher in the world and told you I'm the only teacher in the world for you, I would be the wrong teacher for you.
Sure.
And then the last one, only because it's the most expensive, not because I have any disrespect for the course, Loan Signing Systems. Mark Wills is a genius at marketing. He markets to a lot of notaries to get in to take his course, which is also one of the things that helped fuel the fire of my last marketing course on how notaries can market to their direct clients. He has a training course, and it's respected by certain companies, and you want to fill up your resume in order to do those things. So if I created a perfect journey, it would be NNA, Notary to Pro, Notary Stars, Laura Buer, Bill Soroka, Sign and Thrive, and then Mark Wills. Now, if there's a course that I haven't named, I am probably aware of it, but it hasn't made itself known to me yet. But these are the biggest names in the industry. And of course, there are also side things if you want to learn particular facets of the notary industry. But that would be my perfect journey for a notary.
Excellent. Excellent. So for those of you who, maybe have a few gaps missing in that journey, you might want to consider, maybe backtracking, going back and saying, oh, I haven't taken these courses. Let me update my profile and maybe take an extra course. One of the beautiful things about what we do is that the industry is always evolving. Now we're going into RON signature, digital, all online stuff. It's constantly evolving. And as a business owner, you always have to be understanding of how marketing works, Google. It's a never ending journey. And I think that's what you said about, if we said you were the only teacher to listen to, that's probably not a very wise thing to say. Here I am, I'm giving advice on sort of my journey and how I became successful as a notary, but I still attend your trainings and your coaching and other people in the industry as well. So,
Abraham, I have the perfect analogy for that. And I still take training courses for sure. And here's the perfect analogy. So I was facing back surgery about a year and a half ago, and I went to like 5 doctors. And the first time I had back surgery, I went to 5, 6, 7, 8 doctors. And the first time I went, it was a court case involved, and they said, "Are you addicted to drugs?" And I said, "No, I'm addicted to the best person who's going to have to cut me open doing the job." And right now, escrow officers need the best person at their signing tables. And when they look down at your resume, it's the same thing as me looking up at a wall and seeing 1 degree, or seeing 1 degree in 10 certifications from different courses. Who do you think I'm going to let operate on me?
Sure.
It's not just experience anymore. It's also the training that you take. And I think sometimes notaries overlook, and then I'll leave it at this. I think sometimes the notaries overlook the fact that this isn't one of the easiest industries to come into. You can make 6 figures for sure. There's no other industry that's $2,000 or less. And then they are like, I have to add a $300 certification course. Yes, you do. You need to build up your resume. And I say that with love, but this is the easiest turnkey business that you can get into as long as you haven't had a felony or committed a major crime.
Yeah. I mean, my wife's a speech pathologist, and she made hundreds of thousands of dollars in student debt. Yeah. I mean, for her career. And, compared to that, it's peanuts. And another point you made real quick, and we'll get to your third point here. It's not only competitive for notaries, but escrow and title offices. I mean, the nature of their business has changed. Now they have to compete. They have to compete with other escrow and title offices. And so for one, they can afford to seek out the best notaries because now there are more notaries available. But it's almost a necessity for them to be able to provide good service to their clients to have the best. So they almost have to, for the sake of their own success, demand the best. I mean, and I think that's kind of what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll give you that link to the AEA conference that I did a conference for, and I'm hoping to do more for them.
Okay.
But the thing that notaries need to understand is that we all want direct business, right? Like, you all want to be your own signing agency. You don't want to have to pay that much. When you're trying to convince an escrow officer that you are the one, and they've never met you before, and they don't have their sister running their signings for them, where they'll be a lot more lenient on, training is going to come into play.
Yeah.
As well as experience. You can say you closed 5,000 loans, but they're going to know it in the first 10 if you actually have. And so why not just ease their mind a little bit and have it on your resume? And that's where I'm getting at. I see a lot of notaries that are still like 20 years in, and they say, I don't need to take anything. And then they'd tell me, I'm so slow.
Right.
And I'm like, because the newer guys are coming up, taking every course available, putting it on their resume, and killing your business.
Right.
and I have to say this too, it's not about undercutting fees either. I know plenty of brand new notaries that are getting the same fees that the veterans are getting, but the brand new notaries have better resumes.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Good point. So that kind of ties up the point number 2. And then the last point you have in this blog is don't forget the usual suspects. What do you mean by that, Ronnie?
Good question. So Notary Rotary, 123 Notary, Notary Stars, Online Notaries Public, if you're brand new to online notaries, Notary Cafe.
Yep.
These are the usual suspects. These are places that people go in title and escrow and the general public to look for notaries. And I'm very proud to say I'm all over our SEO and how many clicks we get at Notary Stars, and I'm sure Jeremy Belmont is at 123 Notary. Notary Rotary, I haven't ever met or seen anybody from that site, but it's definitely in the search engines. You don't want to forget these sites, okay? It's not just about signing orders, SnapDocs, ZigSig, any of those sites that we all get signings from, self-included. And yes, I still do signings, even though I own a great signing agency and a great training platform. I still go out and do signings when I'm available, because you've called me and I said, I've got to go into the signing. You don't want to forget the usual suspects. This is ground zero for all of us as notaries. You want to make sure that those public listings are up to date, that Notary Rotary hasn't forgotten about you or rejected you, that Jeremy Belmont hasn't. Notary Stars even also has, even if you do the $10 free verification after a year, if you haven't logged in, you're gone. It's part of their contractor agreement that you sign. Online Notaries Public, you want to make sure that you are putting in information and then at least leaving a little breadcrumb of last updated on. And I came up with this thing, just put all in caps, last updated on, and then create your bio. Mm-hmm. And that's good for about 6 months to a year. Right now, in July, for right after the pandemic, I would say that could carry you through for a good year.
Okay.
We're not, we just need to know, as a signing agency perspective, when I go to your profile, I need to know if you're still working, because I have notaries that I found out from LinkedIn, and I know you guys that follow, different solutions on how to get business. LinkedIn is really big right now, and I use it too for my clients. But I found out we've been sending this one notary orders, and he hasn't picked up anything in 2 months. And I found out on LinkedIn that he's at a full-time job now. And I messaged him, I was like, congrats on your full-time job. Blacklist on this company, because I can't have my queue running with dead notaries. If I had seen in his profile still working part-time or last updated on, he'd still be on the list. But now he's not on my list at all because I can't have my queue running with a dead pool of notaries. We still, as signing agency owners or title and escrow, have to still fill that order pretty quickly.
Right.
So that's what this is all about. And not to interrupt you, that's what this is all about for me in this 3-part series. Is the first thing is you need to mark yourself safe after a pandemic. You need to let people know I'm still working. Even if you're part-time, let them know you're still working.
Right. Yeah. Ground zero. Just plain old vanilla, the basic. For those of you who are experienced, what you did when you first got started, we need to go back to the foundations and make sure we tidy up all those loose ends. So awesome. Hey, Ronnie, great stuff. And for those of you who found value in this episode, stay tuned. We are going to do 2 more of these to kind of touch on the blog post that he mentioned. I guarantee you guys want, if this was ground zero, what he's going to teach us next in the next few episodes, it's sort of really just building on and enhancing your marketability in this new market that we find ourselves in. And so, Ronnie, thank you.
Abraham, don't forget to mention that you're going to be posting this on your YouTube channel. So if they actually want to watch us have this conversation, they can watch both of our little smiling faces and watch it. Because people sometimes learn better from, visual effects as well. And I've got a nice little green screen behind me.
Yes.
So that it looks like I'm in a fancy office so we can have this conversation.
Yes. So yes, if for those of you who are, and I was about to mention that, for those of you who are used to listening to this show, I am now recording this. This is the first episode. I actually did one before this, but this is going to be moving forward. We're going to start recording these episodes for any of you who actually want to see what we look like. Hashtag no filter. And
I've got filters.
it's all in the lighting, right? So if you guys want to check that out, my YouTube channel is Notary Entrepreneur. You can go to all the social media platforms. It'll be posted on there as well. I think, Ronnie, you're going to put it on your YouTube channel, Notary Stars, correct?
Yes.
Good. And then for those of you who actually want to read these blog posts for yourself, you can always go to notarystars.com/blog, where you can get those blogs worth checking out. And until next time, Ronnie, thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for the episodes moving forward. So thanks again, Ronnie.
Thank you.